I've never been known for my cautious side. You should know that I'm well aware. I don't want anything left untried. Will you come with me, mon cher? So let us just do my love and not stop thinking of this over. So let us just do my love and see where this road will take us now. It's not that you're timid, no one could say, choosing to walk with the gale. What shall we call us? Hobos per se. We'll find that out on the way. So let us just do my love and not stop thinking of this over. Let us just do my love and see where this road will take us now. I've never been known for my cautious side. I know the wind that I stir is a gale. So let us just do my love and not stop thinking of this over. Let's just do my love and see where it goes. So let us just do my love and not stop thinking of this over. Let's just do my love and see where this road will take us.
Hello, everybody. This is Tom back at Tom's Trains and Things. Let me shut the speakers off here. I was listening to the music. Welcome to another Monday night live stream. And it didn't go off yet. Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tom's Trains and Things. I'm Tom Kvichak, and we're going to get started with this right now. Now, I think it went a little bit too soon, but we'll get over that. So, hi, everybody. Dave, Rick, D, and RGW, and Jeff. Welcome aboard. We're going to start off by taking a look at this coming up this weekend. Don't forget Volusia County Fairgrounds in DeLand, Florida. They got a nice train show coming up, and right after the train show, let me see if I can pull this up here. And that right there. If you like model trains, you'll love this. Central Florida Railroad Modelers Open House. July 13th and July 14th in Orlando, not too far from where you'll be at the Volusia County Fairgrounds. It's only about a 20-minute drive, I guess. I'm not sure, but I think that's about where it is. So not too far from the DeLand, Florida is the open house, and I'll show that to you a little bit later on again. So what we're going to do now is answer a question. Dave brought it up a little bit earlier here, and let's get started with this. Dave Hudson asked a question a little while ago about the favorite glue for plastic, and that just tied in with what I was going to talk about today. This little thing right here, made by FlexiFile, and from what I understand, it's given away at Micromark when you buy my favorite glue that's no longer made, which was 10X7R. For some reason, 10X7R was one of the best glues for plastic, but they discontinued it, and Micromark makes another one, and I'll show you that in a few seconds. But before we get to that, I'll show you this. FlexiFile, they have their own glue, plastic glue, which is pretty good. And the people that make the styrene, Plastruct, Bondine, they have Plastic Weld, and they also have Weldine, and I use all of them, and I wish that they would make the 7R, but I'm going to have to order it from Micromark, and let's see if I could bring that up here now. And it is a direct replacement for the 10X7R. And as you can see on the picture there, they also have one of the FlexiFile touch and flows. They give it away with it. They're actually not giving it away because it cost you $18 for it. But anyway, this is what it is right here. And that's what I wanted to show you. And this is a pretty good applicator. I mean, you could use the like on all of these, they have like a little brush inside of it. This one's almost empty right here, so I'll show you that one. But most of them have a brush, and it goes on really thick, and you don't want that when you're putting your plastic together with the cement. So using one of these things right here is a lot easier. And what and in the instructions they just tell you to put it in the bottle and it'll come up. Well, I'm impatient, so I put a little pipette at the end of it. You could squeeze it and then put this in a bottle and then suck it up, and it'll bring it up into the glass. And then all you have to do is, just to get it started, have a paper towel, put it on the paper towel. I don't have a paper towel here, but you just set it down on a paper towel, and what you do is just go along your joint with this thing, and it'll put a very small bead of glue in your joint, and that's all there is to it. Voila. Greatest invention ever. And I found this a couple of years ago. And one thing, if you ever get this thing right here clogged up with your plastic cement, all you have to do is put it back in the bottle, and that will loosen it up, just like this, and it will loosen it up. And what I do is, if it ever gets plugged up like that, I put this pipette at the end of it. Now you could use a lot of different things, but I put that on the end of it and just blow it out, and that'll take care of it right there. But this is a nice little tool, and those are the plastic cements that I used. Now, it says in the instructions for this that you could also apply the what is this? Instaset, or accelerator for your super glue. And you know, you can get these in any hobby shops and they always put their little label on it. But you know, when you spray this on, it just goes everywhere. But you could also use this on the accelerant, not the super glue, because you'll plug this up with the super glue. Just use the accelerant on there, and that'll put it right on there, and that will make it really, really set in real fast. Even though, you know, you get the quick dry super glue and everything, it never dries fast enough for me. So I always have to use this right here, and this makes it a lot easier to do it with, because it puts it right on the spot where you want it. And you know, even if you can't get enough of it on there where the super glue is, you could always put this thing on the end of it and just push a little bit, and that'll pop it right down on there. Now, I wouldn't recommend that when using the plastic glue, but for the accelerator, for the super glue, that would work really, really good. Again, don't forget about this place here. I'm going to be there, and I hope a lot of other people are going to be there also. So I see Debbie's here, Rick Gorski's here, Anderson Hawk Valley Railroad, Paul Hoppy, Solo Contracting, NS 5107. Oh, Chasco. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I plan on wearing my It's My Railroad t-shirt. When are you going to get a Tom's Trains and Things t-shirt? But anyway, this thing here, and don't forget, not too far down the road is the Model Railroad Club. Let me bring that up again for you here. Let's see if we can get this up there. Boom. Central Florida Railroad Modelers on the same day, on the 13th and the 14th. So we're going to be there. We're going up there on the 13th to go to D-Land train show. We're going to have to spend the night probably someplace in Daytona with Debbie and Sadie. And then on Sunday, we'll head up to, or head back towards Central Florida Railroad Modelers. And it's not too far off of Interstate 4. And you can Google it, and it'll give you the direction. It'll show you exactly where it is. And Debbie knows exactly where it is because she used to live near there, a few miles away from there. Okay, so what's next? Okay, here we go. Now, if you would like to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, ding that bell. You know why? Because it's free. And even after you ding that bell, you got to answer a few questions. Say when you want to be notified and how often you want to be notified and where do you want to be notified. So you got to do all that extra stuff or else it is not going to work. So what we got coming up next is we go with another shout out Monday evening. And today we're not going to do an acronym because that is just too hard to do. And so we're going to do something else here. I'm going to show you somebody that, let me get this off of here. somebody that does a lot of electronics for model railroading. He does it for DCC. He also does it for DCC++. And everybody has been asking me how to get more than 2 amps out of the DCC++ or the 3 amps out of the Pololu motor shield on a DCC++. So, Dave Bodner, he's got a YouTube channel, but better off than the YouTube channel. He has a lot of videos on there. Let me go through the videos first here. And he has a lot of stuff on there for model railroading and electronics and Arduino. And right now he's not doing anything on that. He's gone beyond that, but you can go to his website, trainelectronics.com, and when this thing's finished, I'll put all the links down in the description. But you can go down to his projects, and you can see he's working on a fidget spinner right now, but he has a lot of things on there for DCC++. He has a throttle for DCC++. Let me see where, if I could find that throttle on here. Onboard trackside receiver that is controlled by the DCC++ throttle. Okay, so he makes up the circuit boards and everything else, and I think you could even purchase the circuit boards from him. He's got a lot of good projects on there. And I've seen other people make the throttles. That's not the throttle, a wired or wireless throttle. Here's the one. So a lot of people have been making this throttle right here for their DCC++ and even adding to it. And this is where they got the idea from Dave Bodner, and he does a lot of stuff on that. And I just wanted to show you, if you hadn't seen his site before, that these are all the projects right here that he's done for model railroad. A lot of it's model railroading. He does large scale. And he does a lot of good stuff on there. Even if you know, you don't see anything on there, the model railroading. If you're from Pittsburgh, he's built an incline also. You can see it in these two right here. If you ever been in, if you live in Pittsburgh, you ever been in Pittsburgh, there's a Duquesne incline, and I'm not sure what the other one is called. I grew up in Pittsburgh and I don't even remember. But anyway, that is what he works on. That's what he's working on right now. So go ahead, check out his website and his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of good videos on there. You can learn a lot from him. So what else do I have on him? So that's about it for Dave Bodner. Now, let's do this right here. Now, this stuff doesn't come cheap that I do, but if you would like to participate and do anything for Tom's Trains and Thing, as far as PayPal me, Patreon, or Super Chat, I would really appreciate it. Hi, John, William Sullivan, JT, Ken's Back Shop. All right. What do we got here? All right, here we go. There's one right here. So take this one off of there. Oop, take that one off of there and put that one back up. What do you use to glue down your track? I use Elmer's glue. I know a lot of people use liquid nails or other type of latex caulking, but I just use Elmer's glue for all that stuff. And that's the best thing. And if you ever make a mistake and have to pull it up, all you have to do is wet it down, and you can, you know, let it soak in, and it, you know, it'll bring it right back up. So no problems with that. All right. Keep up the good work, John from Toledo. How you doing, John from Toledo? All right. Okay, Dave Hudson is the one that asked me about the plastic cement. I think he asked me about a week ago about that. All right. So anyway, let's get this out of here. What we got coming up next is, I gotta find a button. Ooh, I forgot one. Now, there's a lot of beginners out there. I don't know if you are more advanced than beginners that are watching tonight, but I get a lot of questions about what tracks can you mix together? And can I mix Pico with Atlas or Kato and all those other ones? And you could mix, and the same thing with the turnouts too. You can mix anything that you want with anything else. It doesn't matter. It's your railroad. Like what did Chazco say? Right here. I plan on wearing "It's My Railroad" t-shirt, and I said this long time ago. It's your railroad. You could do anything you want with it because you're the boss. But anyway, whenever you're getting your tracks, you could use any kind of track, any brand of track together with any other track, just as long as you use the same code. Say if you're using code 83 or code 100. I even mix code 100 with code 83. I have some in the back underneath in a tunnel that I did with code 100 because I had some left over, and I transitioned it on either end of the tunnel with code 83, and the rest of my railroad is code 83. And I have Pico Flex Track, I have Atlas Flex Track, I have some off-brand, I can't even remember what it was. At one time there was we had a hard time getting Flex Track. I don't know what the problem was. Wherever they made the Flex Track, the factory where they made the Flex Track was out of service, so it was real hard to get. Nobody could get it, so the only thing that was available was this one brand. It was an off brand, and it wasn't that bad. The only thing is it was hard to bend. I mean, the one rail was down solid and the other one was flexible, so it was, it was really hard to bend, and once you had it in a bend, then it didn't move. But you could mix any tracks that you want. You could even if you want to, you could mix the Flex Track with the Easy Track. You just have to figure out how to do the transition in it. And as far as turnouts, the turnouts, you could use any turnouts. I have, on my railroad, I have Pico. Most of them Pico. I have Atlas and I have Shinohara on there. And I think that's about it. But I use the different manufacturers because some manufacturers don't have what other manufacturers do. Like Pico has number 5, but they don't do the number 4. So if you want a number 4, you would go with Atlas or even Shinohara, but Pico has number 5. And on the curved tracks, Shinohara has some how would I say it, sharper curves than Pico does. Pico has some really broad curves. I'm not quite sure what the radius is on it or the number curve on there, but whatever you could put together to fit on your railroad, go ahead, go for it. Okay. Where can I find lighted crossing gates with working arms? That is a good question. And about the only one that makes it is, and I'll get you one right here. I have one. And I got it at a train show in Tampa, and the guy was also at D-Land, and it's J&L Innovations. Okay, here we go. Right there. If that's what you're looking for, he has it in all scales. And it's working. It's got LEDs. All you do is wire it up, and you could put a servo down on the bottom. But the only place that you're going to find it is at a train show in this area in Florida, because they manufacture it just north of Tampa, and it's a husband and wife that does it, and they hit the train shows in the Tampa area. And he was at the Tampa one, he was at the one in D-Land, and I guess that's about the only two places that I've seen him. There was a couple of other shows there. One was in Sarasota, but I didn't see him there. Or he might have been there, but I didn't see him. Okay. What's the next one here? Okay, here we go. Hey Tom, you have YouTube time behind you. What is the best way to find out if other model railroaders are going to be doing a live stream that day or week, so I don't do one the same time? Okay. Well, if you're subscribed to them, it'll show up in your subscription. Let me see. Let me see if I can bring it up here. You know, on your YouTube channel, over on the left-hand side, I'm assuming you're doing it on a computer, you have the three bars up there. You click on that and you bring it down. It has home, trending, subscribers. Go in there and you can see if they set a reminder for it, or if they have it scheduled, then you'll be able to see it. Otherwise, I don't know how else you could do it, unless you just ask around the different people. But that's why I was having an issue with it, because I was doing some on Tuesday and I was interfering with somebody else, so I moved this over to Monday. And just because Monday is when I was doing the shout out Monday evening, and I figured, well, Monday would be a good thing here. Okay, wait a minute. Oops. Okay, I have several electronic turnout. What is the easiest way to control them with DCC? I don't know if you can see it over here. Let me get rid of this thing right here. Right there. DS64, if you got Digitrax. They're real easy to control, and you can control it with your throttle. And between that and, let me see, what else? Right there. Tortoise switch machines. That's how I control mine. You could use Tortoise, or you could use Cobalt, or you could use servos. I did a thing on servos, and you could operate them with Arduino if you like. Even if you don't have DCC++, you can still operate them with Arduino. So, you know, that's a couple of different ways right there. The DS64 with the Tortoise switch machine. And, yeah, there we go. And if you want to do it with Arduino, you could do it with servos. And there's a guy that sent me a couple of his, and I gotta write them back, because he sent me these deals right here to try out. He made some brackets for the servos. The only thing is, one of the servos he sent me was defective, and it was right before I went on vacation, so he made some brackets for it, because brackets are hard to find. And if you have a 3D printer, you could print them out real easily. And I know Iowa Scaled Engineering, I have a couple of their servo actuators, but they're discontinuing them. And they sold the 3D printed servo brackets, but now I guess you have to call them, and whenever they get so many you know, pre-orders that they'll make some and then they'll send them out to you, because they're not, they just say, they used to have them on there for about $3 a piece, and now they just say call. Okay, Anderson Hawk Valley Railroad. I'm using Digitrack SC8C with Tortoise. Yeah, those are, you could use those too. That isn't the SC8C normally for signals though. I know a lot of people are using those for signals. Okay. Will. He had a problem with it, one of his, and he just finally figured out what the problem was. I use Kato turnouts and have them hooked up to a DS64 with push buttons. How do I wire in LEDs to show on the panel if it is open or closed? I did a video on that a while back, maybe about 9 or 10 months ago. And I'll have to dig it out, and I'll email you and let you know which one it is. But you could do it with push buttons. You could do it with toggle switches. It doesn't matter. And I just did one recently, right before I went on vacation. I have to do another one. I showed you how to do 16 servos off of one little board. And you could only, and from the Arduino Uno, you could only do like about 7 of them if you want to put in a switch and 2 LEDs. But with the Mega, you have more options on there. You have more inputs to work with and more outputs to work with, so you could put more of them on there. But there's also a board that you could hook up to the Uno, even if you wanted to use a micro or a nano to save space, you could hook up these boards, and both of them are I2C boards, so you could use multiple boards to get them to work with the Arduino. But there's a video out that I did some time ago. I'll send a link to you after this show here. All right, my son-in-law and I are buying Walter's train line and mainline products. What is your opinion on them? I don't have one. I haven't seen them. I don't buy too much stuff from Walters. But okay, I take that back. Right before I went on vacation, I was cleaning up this area because, you know, back in here I had a bunch of junk piled up before I went on vacation. I piled it up, and I bought some stuff from Walters. This is the only thing I bought from Walters in, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so. But these things right here. Let me get rid of this. More instant buildings. So that's one. This is the Main Street stores. And the reason I bought them is because I was looking for more of the ones back there. And when I went on the Walters site, they said they're discontinuing these. So, and I got this is the other side of it. So you get this right here and that right there. Okay, that's one of them. And I got Old West Frontier. So here we go. These right here and this side right here. So you can see both of them. But those are going back there, all the way back across this back wall. Because I got a lot of them. You can see over here on this wall, I got some of the industries over here. It's amazing what you could find when you're digging into stuff. I forgot I bought those. And I also got a flat, so I'll be able to use this. I'm going to have to order some of that 10X7R replacement from Micromark so I could put that together, because I haven't done any plastic in a while. I don't even know if this is any good, because this is probably 2 years old. It's been sitting in a drawer for a while. I haven't done any plastic kits in a long time. I've been concentrating on on the wood kits, bar mills and Foss scale models. All right. Here's another one right here. Would you recommend gluing or tacking down cork roadbed? I glued mine down, and it's not very hard. In fact, okay. This roadbed right here, this is the first roadbed I've ever bought. Okay, the manufactured stuff. What I used was 1/4-inch underlayment, cork underlayment, and I used it everywhere. And it's a lot easier to use. You can get, I think, about a 80-foot by 4-foot roll for, I think, about $80 or something like that. Home Depot used to sell it by the piece, by the foot. But I guess about 1.5 or 2 years ago, they decided to go with the whole roll, because I bought maybe like 25 foot of it for here, and then I bought another 10 foot to finish off the layout. I didn't need a whole 80-foot roll of it, so I got it in pieces. But yeah, I glue it down, and it's real. You know, if you have to, and like I said before, if you need to bring it back up, you just spray it down. I got spray bottles. I got some old hairspray bottles that I use, and it's the pump spray, and it brings out a real fine mist. I also use that for gluing down my scenery too. But you could take it and spray down your ballast. I mean, if you want to take up your track and your ballast that you glued down with Elmer's glue or white glue, it comes up real easy. Just soak it down, and then you could take your putty knife and scrape it right up. No problem to it. Okay, I know I missed one right over here. Okay. Okay, I already got that one right there. Okay, that was Will Kling. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, Thomas Prokop. I'm sorry, I don't have any recommendations on that, because I don't use it. I don't normally buy from Walthers except for what I showed you right there. If anybody else knows that's in the chat right now, go ahead and give him a recommendation on it. Okay. Okay. You make me blush. William Solomon knew Ferris Road. I was talking about Tom, but you're not a bad-looking guy either. Okay, here we go. You're welcome, Will. You know, for the longest time, I called him, or when I wrote him back on emails, I'd say, Will, or I would talk about him because he would send me emails all the time with the problems with his railroad, and I'd try to fix them, and I'd always called him Will King. For maybe about 6 months, and then I realized that there was an L in there, and and he got a kick out of that. Okay, here we go. JT1, he says, I always glue my cork down. Yeah, that's a good thing to glue it down. You put it down, and it's down there for good until you want to take it up, and you could take it up with water. Okay. Sparky's here. I see you got flooded out again, huh? I watched the video of the street, the guy trying to open up the drains in the street. Okay, what's the best way to ballast track without it coming up down the road? Coming up down the road. Okay. I ballast it. I actually put it down. Oh, I don't have it here. But they do make a little gizmo, and I think it's pretty expensive, like $25, where you fill the thing up with ballast and run it along your track. But what I do is I just take a spoon and put it down, or just take the shaker and put it down like that, and go over it with not this big a one, but a brush. And I do the brush in between the ties, or in between the rail, to get it out. And on the sides, I just take a piece of cardboard and just slide it along there. And before I even put the ballast down, I put a little bit of glue on the side, on the cork going up, so that'll keep it on there for a little bit. And then once I have it all poured on there and flattened out and ready to go, what I do is take alcohol in one of those hairspray. You know, I used a lot of hairspray in my days. Maybe that's why I don't have any left. But I'm just kidding on that. But I use the pump hairspray, so you can refill it. When, you know, I use the hairspray when I'm doing trees, but once I'm finished with that, I fill it up with alcohol, diluted alcohol, and you could spray it on there. And what that does, it just it acts like, you know, what they used to use with water and soap. It would just make the water slippery. I put the alcohol on there, and then I use the diluted glue and, you know, dilute it with water. I don't, you know, may put a drop of soap in it. I don't know. You know, I never seen how it does any good, but they say it does. But then I'll take a little, not a pipette like this, but I got bigger ones, and I'll just drop it down on there all the way down, and that gets it down in there real nice. And with the alcohol, the water just flows down in there, and it doesn't bead up or anything like that. So, you know, the alcohol is the trick. 70% isopropyl alcohol. You dilute it down a little bit with water, and then spray it on there, and you're good to go. You could ballast as long as you like. Okay, what else? What's the best way to ballast tracks? Hi, everyone. Slow mode chat is on, so that's all I got. Hi, okay. Okay, here's another one from Will. Speaking of wood kits, do you primer your buildings? What do you use? Yes, I primer my buildings, and I use primer from Home Depot. And also, the camouflage. I use that also as a base, depending on what color that I want the final building to look like. But just regular primer, I use and the camouflage, either the tan one or the brown, you know, the darker brown one. Okay. Okay, it's good to hear. Sparky said his basement stayed dry for the most part. All right. JT says he uses Woodland Scenic cement. I do that every once in a while, but Elmer's Glue does the same thing, and it's a lot cheaper. In fact, you can get a whole gallon jug of it. I got a gallon jug of it here somewhere for like $6 or $7. I got it from AC Moore. And they had at one time, AC Moore has been doing a lot of different things. One time they said it was a clearance center, and so everything was 40% off, and so they only did that for 6 months, and then went back to regular AC Moore, where they put things on sale only part of the time, and then they went back to the clearance center. So I don't know what they're doing, but anyway, AC Moore, if you have one in your area, you can get the whole gallon jug for really cheap. I don't think it's $6 or $7. I think it's a little bit more than that, but it's pretty cheap that way. Or I've seen some people use school glue, but I think the school glue is already watered down. So if you're not worried about having diluted glue, you can get the school glue, Elmer school glue. Okay, wait a minute, no, not that one. All right. Make a cardboard pattern and run it down both sides to keep the ballast uniform on both sides before gluing. That's a good idea, and I've seen that done in one of those old model railroading magazines from back in the 60s. The only problem with that is if your terrain is smooth, that'll work. But if you have any little bumps in there, boom, 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 the same thing's gonna happen. You're gonna get bumps in your ballast too. But that's a good idea. I do it. I just rub a piece of plastic. I even use this. This is my template that I made for the tortoise switch machines. I'll just run that alongside the track, and then whatever's left over, I take my little brush and just brush it off. But any way that you could do it is fine. It's your railroad. I will let Tom tell you about foam board. It is his show. I can't get it here. I mean, they have it further up north, like towards Sarasota and Tampa, but the best I can get is a 2x2 pink foam, 1 inch thick, that cost about $6. So all I have is 2 of them. If you can get it in your area cheaper than that, go for it, because you could do a lot of things with foam. The only reason I don't use it is because I can't get it here. The only 2 inch thick foam they have aluminum or like tin foil glued on one side of it. That's the only way they sell it down here in Naples. Now further up, I've seen modelers using it, like Robert Sacco. He's up in St. Petersburg. He uses it. He can get it up there, but down here I can't get it. So I mean, it's good because it's easy to work with, and you can make dips and mountains and valleys and rivers and everything else with it real easy. The way I have to do it here, like back here, I have to actually, layer my layout here. Let me get this out of the way. Right here, this is my lowest point on the railroad. This is going to be a waterfront right here, but I have it going up and up and up. And I did that with the cookie cutter method. I cut the plywood through there and put them in different layers, and I have the T-brake braces underneath it to hold it up into the different levels. But foam would be a lot easier. Okay. And here was the, I guess, foam board is sound deadening thing, or if you want easy to make rivers or underpasses. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if, now I heard some people say that the foam isn't that deadening though. Cork or Homosote is probably the best thing. But I've heard people say that the foam doesn't deaden the sound as good as Homosote. But Homosote's been around a long time. When I was a kid, we had Homosote, and all that is pressed paper or pulverized paper. Okay. What about laying track directly on shelf? It's high where tack is not going to be visible anyway. The only problem with that is the noise. And if you watched a couple of weeks ago, I did that thing in Northlands. They didn't use any cork. They put the track right on the plywood, and you could hear it. It makes a lot of noise. I mean, if you're not worried about the noise, go for it. You know, if it's someplace you don't see, I don't think there's any place on my layout, even places where I can't see, I still put the cork down, you know, to deaden the sound. But I would suggest, you know, to even put cork down or anything that would deaden the sound, so it wouldn't be as loud. Okay. Hey Tom, do you have any experience with Lion Chief Plus locos? If so, what do you think? I don't have any experience with them. I don't have any of them. If anybody else here knows or has them, let Eric know about them. Most of the things that I have here is HO scale and Bachmann, and I have a few other brands, some older stuff, and I have, what's that other one? I can't remember what the name of it is. Okay, so Dave Hudson, $33 for a full sheet for 2-inch Hobby Lobby for pink foam. I get a lot of stuff at Hobby Lobby, but they don't have pink foam down here. I wish they did. Okay. Okay. Sorry, Home Depot, Hobby Lobby doesn't carry it. Whoops. Yeah. I was going to say Hobby Lobby. Yeah. My upper level is 1-inch foam and it noisy, but I'm using Kato Unitrack. Yeah, that's what I've heard from a couple of different people, that the foam doesn't deaden the sound that much. Probably they have sheets of it at my Home Depot. Yeah, I know most Home Depots have it, but not down here. The only thing that we have down here, they have the white foam that has the aluminum foil type stuff on the one side of it, and which is not very good. But I have them someplace here, and I was going to use it on this one area where I need to lift it out, because right up here, right above here is where my air conditioner is. So I want to fill this in with scenery, but I can't do it because of the air conditioner up there. What is your favorite loco? Shea, Climax. What else is there? Heisler. Any of those geared locomotives, I love them. They're slow and they're unique, and that's why I love them. Okay, so where were we? We're going to go into, let me get rid of that right now. Even though we're going to do train of thought, you could still ask questions in there, and I'll answer them a little bit later. But anyway, I wanted to do this. About a year ago, I did a video on soldering. And I don't know, I had a couple of people correct me saying it's not solder, it's solder. Well, I did another video after that telling them about Pittsburghese, because from Pittsburgh we don't say solder, we say solder. Well, I just recently had another person from the UK say it's solder. You're saying it wrong. No, I'm not saying it wrong. It's solder. We say solder, just like we say yuns. And I know I'm going to hear about that from people in UK. And I didn't even realize that I say it this way until when I was at DJ's place, and he was saying he still says steel mill. Well, I've always said steel mill. I never even dawned on me that it was steel mill. But, that's the Pittsburgh in me. But, okay, yeah. Say, Tom, did you see my cab ride video? Yes, I did see it, and I was waiting for you to hang out the side when you was going over that trestle, but you didn't do it. I guess you just held your arm out. All right, so that's one thing on my train of thought. Now, I did a video. Now I'm going to have to pull this thing up here because I'm going to read it to you, but I'm not going to show you the email. I got an email from the owner of Cornerfield. What's the name of it? Cornerfield Hobby. Cornerfield Hobby. The O-Scale Railroad, that I did a video of it. And, when I went there, the guy says, just do short videos. And he explained why in an email, but I'm going to look up here. It says, Tom, I seen your video. It looks great. I have only one thing here to say so you can correct it. Now, he wanted me to correct some of the things that I said in there. He says, first of all, you failed to mention it was a family-owned business and only took 4 people, wife, myself, daughter, and son, to build this. By the way, it took us 8 years to build it, and it's a 50-year collection. I probably left that part out. I had it in some of it, but I just edited it out. It looks good, but if I mentioned that we are in the middle of Amish country in Geauga County, and we're not exactly out in the boonies, like I said, it was out in the boonies. Well, we got off the interstate, and the Google lady, just took us on all these back roads for, it seemed like forever. It was almost 45 minutes after getting off the turnpike that we finally got to the place. But that's why I called it was out in the boonies. But he said, when we're only 9 miles east of Chardon, so I don't know where Chardon is. I didn't look it up in the map. Also east of Cleveland, not south. So I am not criticizing you. I just want the facts to be correct. And when I mentioned to you about long videos, this is the reason. We don't, because we did not discuss with the family what you would have done. If you would have been here longer or let us know you were coming, things would have been different. So we would find it nice that you could possibly correct the items I mentioned on this video. But if you can't, write something. Plus, you enter our yard, which is kind of funny to see, but you failed to mention our phrase, if you look for the ball field, you'll find the trains. Well, I didn't see his phrase until he mentioned it here in this email, and I had to look for it. I went on the website, and way at the bottom of the website is the phrase, if you see the ball field, you'll see the trains. I know you do a bit of videos that you puts together, but again, I wished you would have discussed it with my family. Okay, and I wrote back to him. I said, thank you. If you like, you could comment on the video to make the corrections. As far as discussing with your family, I identified myself to you, told you I have a YouTube channel and produce videos to promote model railroading, and was taking videos of all the places that we visited. That's why I asked you if I could take videos. I also talked briefly about the places that I've been and where I was planning on going. You even suggested a few other places to see in my travels, and I put in quotation marks. Roadside America wasn't that good, and I'll have a video on that, but I'll tell you a little bit about Roadside America after this. I wasn't aware I had to talk with everyone in your family. I wasn't aware that you had a phrase until you mentioned it. I looked at your website, and, it was the bottom of the website. I apologize if I caused your family any discomfort by producing this video. It was my intention to bring more attention to your establishment. And then he wrote me back again. Tom, there is really no problem. I thought that you could correct this. Other than that, in the past, the person tried to make money from us using a video. That is why at the time we told you about the filming. So hope this helps. The family is not mad, just that they feel that you just get the facts correct. Okay, so he's east of Cleveland, and he's not out in the boondocks. He's in the middle of the Amish country, east of Cleveland. Have a good 4th. Also, I do not have your phone number for you, and he gave me mine. Please sometimes call to talk. So, it started out by sounding like, he was really mad, but he wasn't really mad. He was just, I don't know. It's kind of odd. But anyway, he said, he said he wants to call, and I'll probably write him back, give him my phone number, and maybe give him a call one of these days. But in the boondocks, it took forever to get out there. But he says he's not in the boondocks. He's in the middle of Amish country, only 9 miles from that town, whatever that town is. And yes, boonies is a matter of opinion. And when, I'm not in a city where I have my house right now. It was out in the country. I wouldn't call it the boondocks. I would say, maybe 10 miles further out's the boonies. But right now, the city just keeps on growing and growing and growing, and we're not out in the country anymore. In fact, there was a wholesale garden center. They had all the plants for everybody in the area, a nursery, and they finally sold their land. They had about 100 acres across the street from us, and they went further out because whenever they bought theirs 40 years ago, they was in the boonies. So yes, it's a matter of opinion. All right. And Sparky says, boonies is about 15 miles short of the sticks. Dave Hudson, then I have been there. Okay. Tell him to lighten up. It's just train stuff. Yeah. He's put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it, and I guess somebody just tried to take advantage of him, and that's why he was kind of leery about people taking videos there. Okay, SMS train shed is in the sticks, I guess. I have successful restaurants near my house that are only open 3 days a week for dinner, but then I guess there is a restaurant. Okay. But yeah, it's a matter of opinion. Boonies, sticks, but I did see a lot of good stuff on the road. There was this old, it was all rusted out, but it was an old steam engine with a big old pulley on the side of it. It might have been an old tractor at one time, because it was just on the side of the road, and I wish we would have went back the same way so I could have taken more pictures of it, but we went the other way. Does someone need a hug? Hey, Robert, how you doing? Yeah, I think so. That guy in east of Cleveland needs a hug. I think so. Sparky says, I do, Robert. My arms are open for you. Well, Robert, are you going to the train show in D-Land? I missed your train show, and I missed the one in Tampa because I was up in Maryland and Pennsylvania at the time. But hopefully I'll get to see another one. The boondocks are where the hoot owls mess with the chickens. Yeah, there you go. Do you use any cardstock on your layout? Yes. I have a couple of buildings where I use cardstock on there. And they're on the other end over there. But they were just real small, like shed type buildings. And I did a Bar Mills model, the plumbing. Can't remember the name of the plumbing, but it was 2 buildings. And what I did was I put a shed like in between the 2 buildings, all out of cardstock. And it works pretty good. Long time ago, that's all they used was cardstock and paper. You know, paper like this. And I still use paper like this too. I also use for like tar paper roofs. I use, I don't know if I got any right here where you could see. Nope. But anyway, you know that stuff that you get, the wrapping paper for gifts and stuff that you stuff in the bags and stuff like that. That is good for doing roofs and stuff. Okay. Robert says no, he'll be working. Well, maybe I'll see you the next time you have a show up there. Not quite sure when it is. I'll have to look on your website. But as far as the cardstock goes, yes, cardstock is good for building anything. And I thought I had one somewhere around here. Oh, that one's attached. But anyway, that's some good stuff. All right. Where are we? Train of thought. Q&A. All right. On to the next subject. Now, we've been doing Q&A the whole time, but, you know, this is the official part of the Q&A. And last week, Sparky asked about the electro frog, and I looked it up, and yes, that I was right. It is just in Pico, and what it is the frog holds the position of whatever your points are in. So if your points are one way, if your points are going on a diverging route, then as you go up, the frog is going to hold the power for that. And if it's going straight, it's going to hold the power for that. So it has power on it all the time. They also make the Insel frog, which is just the opposite. It doesn't have any power on it. Okay, maybe I'll see you at the September show. I'll be there. But that was the thing about the electro frog. I didn't exactly know. I knew Pico had it, but I looked it up, and Pico's the only one that uses that term as the electro frog. But that's what it is. Whichever way the points are on the turnout, that's how the frog is powered. And another one, I can't remember who asked it, but said, "How did you do that?" And I'm assuming that he was talking about this right here. But on the software that I have, and let me see if I could pull up the page here. This is what it looks like for me. I have even though I have my laptop open, I have that open in case I need to type anything. But it shows up every one things, and I could just hit send like that, and it'll bring it up. What do you think about the scan and cut printers? Okay, I'm not quite sure what the scan and cut printers are, but this is how I do that. It's with vMix. It's not cheap. vMix is something like OBS and Streamlabs OBS and Wirecast Streamlabs and OBS is free. This isn't free. I mean, they have that. What I did before I went on vacation, I tried it out. They have a 60-day free trial, and it's unwatermarked, all the features that you could try out for 60 days. And when I got off of vacation, I went ahead and bought that. So, I mean, it works really good. It's just like, I mean, I don't know if I could show you the other. Here, let me do this camera over here. I'll turn this camera around and show you. Well, it doesn't show up too good, but that's what it is. Everything that I need for the production, it comes up on the screen. I could probably do better than that, but hold on a second here. I'll bring this over here. Let me minimize that. Put it over here. Okay, now, boom. All right, so this is what it looks like. I got this over on the other screen, but let me maximize this. And it shows up a little bit different on this monitor because this monitor is a little bit smaller, but everything that I have for the production is in this side over here, and this is all my audio from everything. So let me put this back on the other side. Okay. But that's how it's done. And I really like it because I could do a lot of things with it. So vMix takes the place of OBS or XSplit Broadcaster. It is a streaming software. Yes, it is. You could stream with it. You can record with it. And you could do these lower thirds with it. It has vMix Social on there, which is what you see on the lower thirds right here, and that last screen that I showed you over here. That's what it comes up like. And yeah, it does take the place of it. It's not okay. Looks confusing. It's not confusing. It's just once you get to know it, it works pretty good. And what helps out is this thing right here, because you could program these keys to do anything. So let me see. I'll do my splash screen right here. So you could program buttons to do different things. I could do fade to black. Okay. And, oh, what I wanted to tell you was next week, Monday and Tuesday, the 15th and 16th, is Amazon Prime Days. It's like, what do they call that? Right after Thanksgiving, Black Friday? It's Black Friday in the summertime. So go on over to Amazon, 15th and 16th Prime. They got a lot of good stuff. And see this thing right here? That's a QR code for my Amazon page. So if you have your cell phone out, you can just take it over there and click the QR code, and my thing just froze up. Oh, how'd that happen? Okay. But anyway. So that's how it works. So this thing makes it a little bit easier, and you could program it. And like I said the other time, it's got 24 keys on it, but I should have got the one that had 60 keys on it because I got a lot more things that I want to do on that thing right there. But I don't know why my screen froze up on me for a minute. Did you see that on there? DCC Train. How you doing, Alexander? Glad you stopped in. Chasco, I'll see you Saturday. Remember, I won't be there until around noon, so we'll see you on Saturday. I hope you stick around till noon. And everybody else that's there on Saturday, hope to see you there. Remember, I won't be there till noon because it takes a while for us to drive up there. It's about a four-hour drive. And here's the next part. All right, I want to remind you about the Amazon Prime again. I just did that. Okay, let's wrap this up. How far do you have to go for a hobby shop, a train show, or to a club? I mean, for me, the closest club is like 30 miles away in North Fort Myers, and the closest hobby shop is in Naples, but it's they do everything. They're more on the remote control, and they have a little section for model railroading. But in Fort Myers, I go to Metro Trains and Hobbies, which they just changed their name to something else, but they still have the Metro Trains and Hobbies up there. But and for train shows, Fort Myers is the closest one. That's 25 miles. But I have gone as far as Atlanta. I'm not sure how many miles that is, but that, I mean, I did that once. I'll probably do it again, but not the one on the east side of it. I found out that wasn't the good one. The one on the west side of Atlanta that was a little bit after that. I went there in January, I think in February or March, or somewhere around in there. They had one on the west side of Atlanta, which was a better one. So maybe the next year when it comes up, I'll hit that one. But yeah, 1 hour. It would take me 3 days to get there. Yeah. John Gresser says 1 hour. Will Kling, 50 miles to a hobby shop. Oops. Drop down. Here we go. 250 miles, BNSF 1982. Okay. 1 hour and 1 hour is 50 miles. Okay. Shop in 5 minutes, club 35 minutes. That's not too bad. I wish I had something that was that close. So a lot of you have stuff that's pretty close. 5 to 20 minutes is suburbs of Georgia. Marches are a good show. Yeah, that's what I found out. I went to the one that was at the some civic center or something like that, and found out. I mean, they did have a couple of good layouts there, but I found out that after I went, they said you went to the wrong one. So yeah, the one, I guess the one in March is the good one. Okay, 45 minutes to Colorado Springs, Caboose in Denver, 100 miles away. No train show until July in Loveland, Colorado. Well, don't they have one in at the end of Broadway? I think that's Broadway. I think because when I was up there to see my daughter about 6 years ago, we on the last day that we were there, we went to a train show in some big arena there in Denver. Can't remember what the name of it was, but it's on it. I remember we had to go up Broadway. I think that's Broadway, and right where the Transportation Museum is, Forney Transportation Museum, on that same road, but all the way up there. Okay. Where is the dead? Okay, Colorado. Okay. Okay, here's a question. How can I fix old lifelike trains and Tyco trains? It depends on what's wrong with it. What do you need to have fixed on it? I mean, they're very easy. They snap apart, and the motors are simple motors on there. Okay. I use nscalesupply.com 3 miles away from me in Colorado. That was another question on there. Do you do it online too? Because a lot of my stuff, if I can't find it at my hobby shop, I go online, and I get a lot of stuff. Like a lot of my kits, I go directly to Bar Mills or Foscale Models. A lot of the kits that I got from Bar Mills, you can only get through Bar Mills. I guess they don't distribute them out to anybody else. But I did, at some train shows, there was a couple of suppliers. Yankee Dabbler's one of them that has a lot of Bar Mills stuff. And there's another guy out of St. Petersburg that he hits all the stuff. He was even up in Atlanta that I get some stuff from him. Okay. Here's a question. How do I tell which position my Easy Track switches are in? I guess you just have to look at them and see which way they're turned. I'm not sure exactly if you're talking about that, you know, they're off someplace and you can't physically see them. Is that what you mean right there? I'll get back to you. Okay. End Supply, I forgot about them. Dave's Trains, hello from Mexico. Denver, much matter. Much matter? Okay. Okay, I have found that the local hobby shops are much more suited for very, very new people to the hobby. Specialized items are non-existent. It depends on where you go. Now, I've seen a lot of places where they have some older stuff, and, you know, you just have to look around. What about, where is he at? Alexander Kolesnikov, are you still in here? If you're in Cincinnati, go check him out. DCC, I mean, he's got 3 or 4 or 5 different channels. Is there one place which lists all the clubs? I think there's a list someplace, but I can't remember where it is. I'm not sure if it has all the clubs on it, but that's a good question. I know on my website I put a lot of links on there for track planning and everything else that you could find in for suppliers and stuff like that, but not clubs. Okay. Dave Hudson, I search online to find the cheapest prices, and that's a good thing to do. That's what I do also. And a lot of times you'll find the same item, and you'll find, you know, a wide variety of prices. And, you know, it just depends on where you go and And what you got to watch is the shipping too, because a lot of places they'll put in a lower price, but you'll end up paying more on the shipping. I found Amazon has a lot of stuff too. They're starting to carry some model railroad stuff on there too. It's more of the Bachmann stuff and the Lionel stuff, but I mean, it's some railroad stuff. Okay. 50% online, 50% hobby shops. My local hobby shops are always out of Atlas turnouts. That's one thing I could say about Metro Trains and Hobbies in Fort Myers. They have a good selection of everything. They got, I mean, they have Atlas, they got Pico, they got Pico ON30 tracks, turnouts there. They got ON30 flex track. They got N scale, HO scale. I didn't see any S scale. I mean, they have some older stuff where they're selling it, you know, some on the clearance aisle S scale, but a lot of Lionel too. But yeah, you just got to look around. And you know, some different hobby shops are different. Yeah, Sparky said DCC trains. Yeah, I couldn't remember because you got so many different channel names. All I can remember is DCC LLC, Limited Liability Corporation, but I guess that's DCC Trains and then DCC Trains LLC, and then he's got his cooking one and a lot of other ones. But yeah, if you're in Ohio, go see him and go see Cornerfield Hobby Shops because they sell all Lionel. Okay, I do a lot of research on hobby shops for online ordering. A lot of the hobby shops are going to online, like the one the one I used to go to when I lived in Annapolis. They're doing, I mean, they have a really big building. I mean, when they first started, it was a little cubby hole. That was about maybe, let me see. I've been out of there since 2000, so that had to be about over 30, 35 years ago that they had this little store that you could barely crawl through because his shelves were overstocked then. But he's got this really big place that used to be an outlet center, and he's got, you know, probably, well, I'm not going to say thousands of square feet because probably overstated or something like that. But it's big. And he's got a lot of stuff. Next week I'll bring up a picture of it. So, because when I was there, I took some pictures inside the store, and he's got the shelves stocked with everything from N scale, HO, S, and Lionel, O scale, and even G scale. And he does everything. He does everything online. He's got a lot of online business. If you're an NMRA member, I think they list clubs that are part of the NMRA. I think you're right, and you probably don't even have to be a member to be able to see that list. DCC, we are okay. We are moving. We'll be online only for some time. Where are you moving to? Are you going to be out of Cincinnati or what's the deal with that? I believe that is where I see the list for both clubs and hobby shops on NMRA. I think you're right. Both of you are right. Okay, John Grasser, they are doing you a favor, in my opinion. I have found Pico to work much better for me. Okay. All right, DCC Train, the name of the website store. Okay. Well, you've always done it online. You're just going to be doing all online until you move, right? How do I tell the position of easy track switches that I cannot see? Okay, well, I guess the only way to do it is if you hook up some indicator lights for your switches. Okay, wait a minute here. Again, I think Will Kling asked the same thing about indicator lights on his track. He uses Kato on his Zen scale, and I have a video. And next week when I'm on there, I'll tell you what video it is. It's about 9 months old or 10 months old. You could probably go in my playlist and see on DCC or Arduino. I'll have it on there. My first train supply was from D&S Paint, which sold auto paints many years ago. Gone now. Yeah, that long time ago, when I lived in Pennsylvania, I went to a hobby shop in Jeanette, and it's where DJ lives now. And if I didn't spend so much time there, we would have went, but they closed. It's Needlowski's hobby shop. I mean, his dad was the original owner, and then once his dad passed away, he took over the hobby shop. But I mean, it's just a small place, and it's been there forever, because I remember going back there in like early 80s, late 70s. Okay. You'll be in Cincinnati. Okay, so you're just moving from one place to another in Cincinnati. Okay. Has Tim Schmoyer ever stopped by your place? I've been trying to get him to buy trains for a long time, since he moved to Cincinnati, and I don't know, he never answered me on that stuff. But he does a lot of good woodworking stuff now, and I said, with all that good woodworking, you'd be able to do a nice platform and everything. You do a structure for your model railroad. You got all the kids to help you with it. You go down to see DCC trains. I don't know if he ever got down to see you, but I've been trying to coax him into getting into model railroading. He just moved again, so I don't know if he moved out of Cincinnati or what. But okay, I generally buy online, mostly at train shows, NMRA list NMRA clubs. Okay, yeah, I know that it lists the clubs. But what about the hobby shops? I'm pretty sure they had hobby shops too, but I know there's got to be a list out there someplace. I'll have to look it up and see if I could find it. Okay. Good to see you, Tom, and all my friends here. Good to see you stopping by, Alex. I haven't seen you in a long time. I know you do live shows all the time, but sometimes you do them in Russian. I can't understand what you're saying. Try find mapmuse.com. Interest M-Train clubs. Okay. Now, all right. So those don't show up too good on there, but anyway, I'll leave this up for a while. So that's train clubs, but what about hobby shops? Okay. So, don't forget, let me see. If you would like to contribute, you could contribute through PayPal. You can contribute through Super Chat, and you could contribute through Patreon. I'd really appreciate it if you would, because it costs money to do these things. And it costs money to buy all this stuff that I got. All right. And also, go ahead and subscribe. And you got to do a lot more than just subscribe and then ding that bell. You got to do all that extra stuff now. Go through those dialog boxes and say how often you want to be notified, and on how you want to be notified on your email, if you want to be notified on your cell phone, all that good stuff. So go ahead and hit that bell and fill out all that stuff that you have to fill out. They're making it more difficult to do things again. And I just found out that they're making it really, really hard. I don't know if other modelers here that have channels that are that are seeing a decrease in the viewership. Part of it has something to do with the summer, but part of it has something to do with I said I was going to keep that up. Part of it has something to do with YouTube and the way that they're working their algorithm. So has anybody else experienced that? Okay. Okay, not sure. Maybe Rob, see him. I'm building my new layout at home. Oh, okay. And you can also use MapMuse for local hobby shops. Okay, that's a good thing. So let me put this thing back up here with the mapmuse.com interest mtrain dash clubs. Okay, thank you, Dave. It's going on an hour and a half now. It's a little bit longer than what I wanted to. So I'm going to end it right here. I'm going to keep this the chat alive for a little bit afterwards. So if you want to say your goodbyes and everything or ask any more questions, I'll keep my eye on the chat. And I got to go to the bathroom. So we're going to wrap this thing up. I think I already did the wrap up thing. So what I'm going to do is hit the end button and call it a night. I want to thank you all for stopping by. I had a really great time here. Thank you for all the information. I hope I answered everything that I possibly can satisfactorily, and like I said, maybe every other week, but since next Monday is Prime Days, the 15th and 16th, you could go on. Let me do this first. Check out my Amazon page, and if you go there, and you don't have to buy right away, if you go there 2 or 3 days later, I'll still get a little bit of a cut from what you buy. It helps out. Every little bit helps. And they're right there. That thing right there, that's a QR code for my Amazon. And on the replay, I'll put all the links down in the bottom. So 15th and 16th is Amazon Prime Days, which is Black Friday in July. So they're going to have a lot of good stuff on there. They had a lot of good stuff on there last year that was discounted, and I wish I would have had more money to buy the stuff. That's the only thing that holds you back, is the money. But a lot of things are discounted maybe 20-30%, which is a good thing. So I want to thank all of you for coming by. I'm going to leave the chat open for a little bit so you could continue to talk amongst yourself, and we'll see. Oh yeah, what I was going to say. Okay. Since next week is the Prime Days and I'm going to the train show, I'm going to have to buy something and show you what it is. Also, I have a big old tote from when we was on vacation that I bought stuff. I bought it at Hagerstown. I didn't hit too many places. I hit Hagerstown when we was up there. The one in Annapolis, Star Hobby, and I hit the train shop outside of the Choo Choo Barn in Strasbourg. And what else? There was another place. one more place, and I can't remember where it was. But I also hit Mario's Trains. If you ever see Mario's Trains on Twitter, if you're on Twitter, you see him on there all the time. I stopped in and say hello. I want to let you know Mario's Trains, the address that he has listed is his warehouse, not his store. We stopped at a Circle K to go to the bathroom and get some sodas before we went a couple of blocks more down to his place. And then as we were pulling out the Circle K, we saw Mario's Trains right next door. So, I mean, yeah, if you ever go see it, you'll know that if you pass the Circle K, you're already past Mario's Trains, because his address shows, his address on his website and everything else shows the warehouse address. So that's all I got for right now. See ya. Thanks for coming by, and we're going to end it right here.
Wish for this moment to never go away, but it's all in my mind, and though I know that there is nothing to find, you're a beautiful sight in the summer night, and you can't put up a fight in the misty light. Roaming the streets all alone, and all you can see, thinking about what your life came to be. You're a beautiful sight in the summer night, and you can't put up a fight in the misty light. Like the mothers of Brazil find their way, we're all